Hey everyone, I'm Catherine with Free Tours by Foot. Today I'm going to be taking a walk through NoLita and Little Italy.
We will start with a quick snack at Eileen's special cheesecake. From there, we will head into NoLita, where we will see the site of an infamous mob hangout, as well as the beautiful Old St. Patrick's Cathedral. From there, we will make our way to the Elizabeth Street Gardens and then see the oldest pizzeria in the United States. Next, we will make our way down to the heart of Old Little Italy, stopping to see the majestic old police headquarters before we arrive at Mulberry Street. Our walk through Little Italy will include several stops, including the oldest cheese shop in the country. We will finish up at the Church of the Most Precious Blood, which established the Feast of San Genaro in this neighborhood that is popular to this day.
So a lot of people have Little Italy on their list of places to come when they're visiting New York, but I think a lot of people really just think of it as a food destination, and there is some great food, and we'll pass by some of it and talk a lot more about it, but there's also some really interesting history here as well. Both of these areas, NoLita and Little Italy, have an interesting blend of some trendy modern elements and some old world charm as well. So we're going to see a lot on this walk. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm starting today at the intersection of Cleveland Place and Kenmare Street, just a little tiny intersection here. My very first stop is going to be Eileen's Special Cheesecake, which has been here since 1974. New York is known for a lot of different food items, but I have to say a question I get from a lot of visitors to New York City is, where is the best cheesecake in New York? Now it's up for debate what the very, very best is, but this is certainly one of my favorites. It's a great place to start here. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I'm gonna be capable of stopping here just in front of Eileen's and talking about it. I think I'm gonna have to head in and get some cheesecake. There is just a small bench outside of Eileen's to eat your cheesecake, but if that is full, like it is right now, you're still in luck, because right across the street is Petrosino Square. It's a little public plaza. There's lots of benches here. So that is where I'm going to sit and eat my cheesecake. There's also a great nod to the area. There's Lieutenant Joseph Petrosino, who was the first Italian immigrant to become a detective with the New York City Police Department. Big figure in the Italian community here in this area. All right, they have a lot of flavors here, but I opted for raspberry cheesecake because the guy working there said it was his absolute favorite. So, can't wait to dig in. Now that I am properly fueled with delicious raspberry cheesecake, we can keep walking. So, I told you earlier we were going to go through both NoLita and Little Italy. Just so you know where we are right now, we're starting on the NoLita side of things. We'll make our way down into the heart of Little Italy. So I think the important thing to know is that historically, these weren't different areas. These were actually all a part of a very large Italian immigrant community here in the lower part of Manhattan. Italian immigration started to really increase in the late 1800s, continued through the early part of the 1900s, and New York City had a very large Italian immigrant population. So the Little Italy area down here wasn't the only Italian neighborhood in New York City. In fact, it wasn't even the largest. The largest was East Harlem, but very sizable neighborhood. And this area to this day is still really steeped in Italian American culture. The term NoLita wasn't used until the 1990s. It's really just an acronym. NoLita just means north of Little Italy. And the reason this was done was as a way of kind of differentiating this northern part of the area from Little Italy. It was a push really by realtors, because Little Italy wasn't considered a trendy place to live at the time. So this was a way of trying to differentiate it from Little Italy itself, make it sound a bit more enticing. So as you can see today, this is absolutely a place to be. Lots of people out. And just for reference, this is middle of the day on a Thursday. So, random weekday, absolutely jam-packed with people in this area. The NoLita branding apparently worked. This became a very trendy place to be. There are some notable residents in this area. The actor Gabriel Byrne, singer-songwriter John Mayer, formerly David Bowie, and Martin Scorsese. And actually he was raised here when this area was still considered a part of Little Italy. Passing by Ruby Rosa, which is an absolutely fantastic place to go get pizza. I'm sure it will come as no surprise. There are lots of good places to go get pizza in this area. Certainly no shortage. We'll talk about some of them as we're going around, but that is one I highly recommend. Continuing our walk this way, coming to look at 247 Mulberry Street. 47 Mulberry Street was the home of the Ravenite Social Club. As early as the 1920s, Ravenite was used as a meeting place for mob members. By the 1970s and 80s, it was the headquarters of the Gambino family. And actually, in that time period, infamous mobster John Gotti was using an apartment up there on the 3rd floor as a meeting place. And throughout this time period, actually throughout the 1980s, there were several attempts to make racketeering charges stick on John Gotti, and he always managed to evade charges. So his nickname in that time period was the Teflon Don. Eventually, in the 1990s, the FBI did succeed in wiretapping the apartment. John Gotti was arrested and ultimately received life in prison without parole. But some infamous things went down here at the site of the former Ravenite Social Club. So now, a little change of pace. We're going to start making our way over towards a historic church. So you can actually already see it up there ahead on the right. But we are going to be walking down Prince Street here and looping around to get to the front entrance of the church. We'll actually, hopefully, be able to take a quick look inside as well. When you see St. Patrick's, most people think of the cathedral up in Midtown, the beautiful neo-Gothic cathedral across from Rockefeller Center. But originally, this St. Patrick's was the seat of the Catholic Archdiocese until the one up in Midtown was dedicated in the 1870s. This one was initially dedicated in 1815. It was the seat of the Catholic Archdiocese, but this was in a time period where there was growing anti-Catholic sentiment in this area. And actually in 1836, there was an attempted sacking of this cathedral by locals with strong anti-Catholic feelings. There had been rising tensions between the Irish Catholic community in this area and these anti-Catholic groups. Fortunately, the church was successfully defended by the Ancient Order of the Hibernians. They actually cut holes in the side of the church and defended the church with muskets, and they were successful. Unfortunately, in the 1860s, this entire place was primarily destroyed by fire, and it was eventually rebuilt. Once the cathedral up in Midtown was finished, this became known as Old St. Patrick's. The cathedral up in Midtown, St. Patrick's Cathedral, became the new seat of the Catholic Archdiocese. But this is still an active cathedral. It is officially known as the Basilica of St. Patrick's Old Cathedral. And before we go inside, I do want to give you a quick look at the graveyard over here. As well as, well, look at this guy, Archbishop John J. Hughes. So this is actually the man that was responsible for the current St. Patrick's Cathedral up in Midtown. He was the Archbishop at the time that they decided to take that land up in Midtown Manhattan and build the current cathedral there. And as popular as the cathedral is today, this was considered an absolutely ridiculous idea at the time, because this was the city center down here. Midtown Manhattan, or what's Midtown Manhattan today, was kind of considered the middle of nowhere. And so the idea for the cathedral was called Hughes's Folly. Obviously he was correct, everybody else was wrong. But I wanted to show you that statue. Some commemorative plaques here. And actually, I had mentioned the ancient order of Hibernians who defended this cathedral. And there is a plaque dedicated to them up here as well. If you're looking for something interesting to do, something kind of off the beaten path, they actually have catacombs tours of Old St. Patrick's down here. So if that's something that sounds like it might be interesting, I also think this is super interesting. Hope there's not too much of a glare. There's some stairs leading down under glass here, but we will go ahead and take a quick look inside. So if you are a fan of the Godfather trilogy, the inside of the church may have looked familiar to you. It is actually used in both the famous baptism scene from The Godfather and also in The Godfather 2, where Michael Corleone is given an award, an honor by the church. So, beautiful building. Glad we were able to go inside. We're going to continue our walk. We're going to head down here to Prince Street, and we're going to make our way over to Elizabeth Street so we can check out the Elizabeth Street Gardens. This is just one of many just little hidden gems throughout this city if you know where to look. I'm excited to go over there. I think in order to avoid the giant crowd of people over there, we'll come to this side of the street. Just in case you're curious, they are waiting in line for Prince Street pizza. I know I pointed out Ruby Rosa. We're gonna see probably the most famous pizzeria in New York, Lombardi's, in a little bit. And they're all amazing, but those places are whole pie only. If you're looking for a good place to get a slice, highly, highly recommend Prince Street. It is delicious. Clearly you might wait in a little bit of a line, but worth it, I think, if you have the time. So here is Elizabeth Street. We're gonna take a right here and head over to the gardens. So the site, the gardens that we're about to go, it used to be the site of a public school. It was demolished in the 1970s. And actually this lot sat vacant until the 1990s. A man named Alan River, who's a local art gallery owner, leased the space and created this fantastic sculpture garden. Just a place for people to come and enjoy themselves. It is open almost every day, weather permitting. The hours vary a little bit throughout the year, so definitely something to check before you come down here. I don't want you to be disappointed, but here we are. Let's take a look. Got some sphinxes right here. Lion. As you can see, there's some beautiful spots to sit. You really can find spots for some peace and quiet and restfulness in New York City if you know where to look. Some great photo spots.
Look at the lion. Got his back.
And some beautiful garden beds as well. There are technically two entrances, but the gate over there on that side is typically locked. So if you are looking to access the Elizabeth Street Gardens, definitely come in the Elizabeth Street entrance. But if you're down here and you want to grab a coffee, sit in a nice spot, or grab some takeout, or grab a slice of pizza from Prince Street Pizza, then a fantastic place to come and do that. So So if we take a right out of the Elizabeth Street Garden, going to head back down this way, make our way down towards Spring. The reason we're going to Spring is because we are going to go visit one of the most famous pizzerias in New York City, probably one of the most famous pizzerias in the United States, and that is Lombardi's. Lombardi's was considered the first pizzeria in the United States. So if you are a fan of pizza, for history's sake alone, you absolutely have to come make a visit to Lombardi's. So clearly no shortage of places to eat around here. And really there's a lot of great places to eat around here. Some nice little cafes. So you can take your pick, whatever looks the best to you. But you can actually already see Lombardi's up ahead. It's the one with the red awnings out front. So initially, Genero Lombardi, when he arrived in this country in 1897, did not set out to have a pizzeria. His first business was a grocery store. But in 1905, he received a license to open a pizzeria. And Lombardi's is still around to this day. This is actually not the original location. It's a few doors away from the original location, but it is operated by the Lombardi family to this day. So you can see it there. Very, very popular. It is still considered one of the best pizzas in New York City. Super, super hot coal-fired oven, one of very few coal ovens you can find in a pizzeria in New York City. And they've actually run a promotion a couple times now. Once for the 100-year anniversary in 2005, once for the 110th in 2015. For a day, they sold pizzas at opening day price, 5 cents. And I managed to miss it both times. I'm still not over it. But even though it won't be 5 cents, you should absolutely come grab a pizza here at Lombardi's. This is a place where it is whole pizza only, so come hungry or bring some friends with you, but absolutely worth it. I think that when you come down here to visit this area, you should have pizza more than once. You should try a few different pizza places. Compare, contrast, decide which one you like. And then you'll have a strong opinion on pizza, just like everybody that lives here. So we're walking down Spring Street right now. We're gonna start making our way over towards the old police headquarters. And then we're gonna start making our way down towards Mulberry Street, the area that people would consider Little Italy these days, not NoLita. But hopefully you can see on this walk, no shortage of places to see down here. This is Mulberry Street up here, but we're gonna go a few blocks down to really get to the heart of Mulberry Street. So we actually found our way right back to Eileen's Cheesecake where we started. So we really looped up into Little Italy and then made a circle. But now we're gonna head this direction and head down into Little Italy. So we're actually, our first stop is that building with the beautiful dome straight ahead. That building is the former police headquarters of the New York City Police Department. They used this building starting in 1909. And it's very ornate. You'll see as we get a little bit closer just how elaborate the building is. It's this beautiful Beaux-Arts design. And it was absolutely purposeful that it was so large and so ornate. The style of it was meant to give the police this appearance of authority and grandeur. And the hope was that it would intimidate local criminals into behaving themselves. They were hoping this would intimidate everybody from like little petty criminals to the mobsters that were active in Little Italy. I'm not sure how effective it was at deterring crime, but the building is beautiful. So in 1973, the New York City Police Department moved out of this building. They moved into their current headquarters, One Police Plaza, which if you're a fan of any New York City-based cop shows, you've probably seen some shots of One Police Plaza. This building is much more beautiful in my opinion. But believe it or not, this gorgeous building, when vacated by the New York City Police Department, sat empty all the way until the 1990s, until a developer decided to convert this thing into apartments. Beautiful, spacious, airy apartments. Some people that lived here early on, supermodels, Cindy Crawford, Christy Turlington, Winona Ryder, the actress, lived here. The apartments had some unique features. One of them actually had been the site of a former basketball court that had been in the building for police officers to play basketball. But to this day is a very nice apartment building. So we are going to go down Broome Street here. We're at Center and Broome. And we're going to head just one block over so we can get to Mulberry Street. So like I said earlier, Italian immigration into the United States began to really take off in the late 1800s. This was following the unification of Italy. The unification of Italy left many people in the southern part of Italy very impoverished. So a lot of them came here seeking different economic opportunities. Many ended up in New York. And so you had this massive Italian immigrant community down here. And Mulberry Street was really right at the center of it. You can see a little Italian flag painting on there. And there's the sign. I don't know if you can really read it from here. It says, "Welcome to Little Italy." Mulberry is actually a very old street. You can see the name Mulberry Street on maps of the city dating back to the 1700s, and it's quite a long street. It goes from here all the way down to Chinatown, to Canal Street, and it goes all the way north up here to NoHo. So quite a long street. We're only going to see a piece of it here, but a very important street in the Little Italy community. So we're going to cross the other side of Mulberry Street. I'm going to show you a couple of things over here. One of them is this mural here. So this is a very colorful mural of Audrey Hepburn, but this is actually a part of a larger effort that's called the LISA project, Little Italy Street Art Project. So there was a concentrated effort to create a place in this area for street artists to have a mural district. And so if you keep an eye out in this area, this is not the only one. There are some really beautiful murals and street art pieces. If that's something you're interested in, I highly recommend a walk around this area. And it's also right here next to the Mulberry Street Bar, which has been here since 1908. Absolutely worth a visit inside because it hasn't changed an enormous amount since 1908. You can see here at number 176.5 Mulberry Street. I'll take a quick peek in the interior there. But the interior of this place has been used in The Godfather 3 and Donnie Brasco in several seasons of The Sopranos. And worth a visit. So you can see this is definitely kind of restaurant row of Little Italy. There are restaurants all up and down this stretch. When the weather's nice, sometimes Mulberry is closed off to traffic and it's pedestrian only. But either way, there's always a lot you can do right out here on this street, whether it's this outdoor dining or popping into little shops. There are some good ones. A lot of the shops up and down Mulberry are just little souvenir type shops, but there's some great stuff tucked in there as well. And it's a fun street to walk around. This is also the site every year in September of the San Genaro Festival. This is a very big deal in this area. It's been going on for many, many years. Definitely, if you are ever here in the month of September, see if you're here during the San Genaro Festival. It goes on for several days. It's really, really fun. Definitely something to see.
Don't take off.
So we are going to be coming back here, but we're going to take a quick turn and go just one block over this direction so we can go check out O'Neill's. O'Neill's is another bar. This one, though, throughout its history, at one point was also a speakeasy, and there was an underground tunnel that connected to it. And it was a really, really convenient location, and you'll see why in just a minute. If you can see straight ahead, here's O'Neill's, and that is the backside of the police headquarters building that I just showed you. This is a place the police could come via their underground tunnel and enjoy an illegal beverage in the speakeasy. But O'Neill's is also known not just for its history as a speakeasy. This was used in the show Sex and the City when Aiden and Steve opened their bar, Scout. O'Neill's, both the exterior and the interior, were used as Scout. So you can see this place in several episodes of Sex and the City. So we're making our way back towards Mulberry. We're walking on Grand Street right now. We're heading over to check out the oldest cheese shop in this country, right here at the corner of Mulberry and Grand, Aleva Cheese Shop. This was established in 1892, and it is actually still run by the great-grandson of the original owner. Absolutely worth coming and checking it out. And I think we are going to take a quick look inside as well.
I will.
So once again, I found myself unable to go into a shop and resist getting something delicious. So I got myself a little treat. This is an arancini, or a rice ball. This has risotto and cheese. They have them with prosciutto in them. I opted to get without, covered with some marinara for a nice mid-tour treat. Now that I'm refueled, we'll keep walking. Right next door, established in 1920, the Piemonte Ravioli Company. It's actually housed inside a federal-style row house. The building itself dates back to the 1830s. This building was home to Italian immigrants all the way up until the 1970s. But you can pop inside here and get a variety of fresh pastas. Of course, ravioli right there in the name. We'll continue our little walk down Grand Street. This little block is just so jam-packed with great places to go. Going to head over to yet another cheese and dairy shop, or latteria. This one is called DiPaolo's. So this family arrived here in 1903, part of that mass Italian immigration at the time. They opened up here in 1910. This is still a family business. You'll notice a theme. A lot of these are still family businesses. And the owners of this place actually still make frequent trips back to Italy so they can seek out new and authentic tastes. Give you a look at the window here. Got some great old photographs, some cheeses, some giant cheeses. Now we're just gonna take a quick crossover the other side of Grand Street. We're gonna make our way over to Ferrara. So Ferrara, this place that we're going to see next, was established in 1892 to meet the growing need in this area of newly arrived Italian immigrants' need for espresso and pastries. This is now in the 5th generation of the same family, another one of those businesses that stayed in the same family and is still immensely popular to this day. I highly recommend going inside, and I will take you on the inside and give you a peek of that because it's really largely stayed unchanged since it opened. So you get a little bit of a look at the old feel of this neighborhood. But because of its popularity, they often have to bake multiple times a day, and therefore you're guaranteed to get something very, very fresh when you go here. They have a lot of great things. I do particularly recommend their cannoli. Let's head back out to Mulberry Street. Now, unfortunately, you can see just across the way there is a relatively large construction site that is typically home to the Italian American Museum, dedicated to preserving the legacy of immigrants in this area. It was originally the site of Banca Stabile, which was a local bank and really a cornerstone of the community here. It was for a lot of people a link to back home. You could send money, receive wire transfers, and it was a way for them to stay connected to relatives back in Italy and to send money, because a lot of people did that. So let's continue on down Mulberry Street. More restaurants, lots of restaurants. So just past this very festive Christmas store, we come to a very small, easy to miss cigar shop. This cigar shop is also the site of the former Hawaiian Moonlighters Social Club, which was a primary hangout for John Gotti and his crew. I know we talked about another location in this area that was used by John Gotti. That was used more for meetings. This was a hangout spot. John Gotti was one of the most infamous mobsters in this area. We're going to continue on down Mulberry Street. So it's now the middle of the afternoon, so you won't see quite as many people sitting outside eating, but a couple hours ago all of these tables would have been packed. Now down here at the corner of Hester and Mulberry, I wanted to take you to see Da Genero. The reason I wanted to take you to see this is this actually was formerly a place called Umberto's Clam House. We actually just passed a restaurant of the same name, but they didn't move to that location until about 20 years ago. Their original location was here. This was the site of one of the most infamous mob hits in this area. Mobster Joe Gallo came in here to get a snack, was spotted by a rival gang member, was shot 5 times, stumbled out into the street where he died. It gave this restaurant kind of an instant notoriety, and they do still exist to this day, not in their original location, but this other restaurant is here and it's very good. Probably worth noting that that mob hit of Joe Gallo that made this place so infamous happened just weeks after the restaurant opened, so it's very early notoriety attached to Umberto's Clam House. So we're going to take right over here. We're going to head over onto Baxter Street, start making our way over towards a church. And this church holds a really important place in the history of this neighborhood. So I have mentioned the San Genaro Festival. I talked about it while we were walking down Mulberry Street. It's very, very popular. It's very fun. People come and visit specifically to go to this festival. And these days, truly, it is mostly just a big street party. You can come here, you can eat, have a cannoli eating contest, and it's a lot of fun. But it actually started off as a religious festival. San Genaro is the patron saint of Naples. There was a large community of people from Naples in this area, and it was an important religious festival. So the ties of the San Genaro Festival really did not start, like I said, like a street party. It really ties to this religious festival that was started by this church right up here. Hopefully be able to step back here into the street and take a really good look. But this is the Most Precious Blood Church, kind of tucked away off of that main drag of Mulberry Street, but a beautiful church. And it was established really as you started to see that large-scale Italian immigration coming into this area. You know, when the Italians started arriving here, the existing Catholic community in New York City was largely Irish. And there were some tensions between the two, and the Italians didn't find themselves feeling very welcome at the Irish Catholic congregations, and so a new congregation was founded here. You can actually see, if I go up to this gate here, I'll see if I can get a good view of it. This is also the National Shrine of San Genaro. But this church here is the reason that all of these people can now come to the San Genaro Festival in September. Joining me on our walk through NoLita and Little Italy. Hope you had a good time. I definitely did, and I'm very full now, so make sure you bring your appetite when you come and do this walk on your own. The good news is if you come to this area, you're also really well positioned to go see a lot of other things. Soho is very nearby. Chinatown is just blocks away from here. It's not a bad walk to Lower Manhattan from here, even to the Lower East Side. So there's a lot that you can explore right from this area. Make sure you check out some of our other virtual walks that we have through some of these neighborhoods. Check out some of our self-guided tours, our audio tours when you come and visit. And most of all, we hope you consider taking a group Pay What You Wish tour with us while you're here in New York City. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Ring that bell so you get notifications every time we release new content. We have a lot more coming your way. So we hope to see you next time.